Welcome to Drive the Daf. Clear, structured explanation of the daily Daf in 20 minutes. You can even follow in the car.
Pesachim Daf Tzadi Gimel contains one Mishnah and three primary sugyas. First, the Gemara is going to quote a brisa which is relevant to a machlokes we've been discussing on the last Daf. The Gemara will have a kasha on the brisa. Then it introduces a new machlokes, three-way machlokes, about when the kares punishment is relevant. Is it for Pesach Rishon or Pesach Sheni or both, and how it works together? Then the Gemara will bring the Mishnah. The Mishnah will introduce the topic of defining how far is b'derech rechoko. When the Torah says that somebody doesn't have to bring a carbon Pesach if he's too far on Pesach Rishon, he could always bring in Pesach Sheni. How far away is that? Okay, so first of all, we've seen a machlokes on our last daf, machlokes between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. If somebody's b'derech rechoko and the Torah says he doesn't have to bring Pesach Rishon, what if he somehow managed to get involved in a Pesach Rishon? Somebody brought a Pesach Rishon for him, and he managed to make it to Yerushalayim on time to eat it. So he qualifies as b'derech rechoko, but he had the Pesach performed for him anyway. Does it count or not? Rav Nachman says yes. Why not? He was putter, didn't have to bring it, but if he managed to bring it, no problem. Rav Sheshes says no. Once the Torah said that you're not involved, you don't have to bring it. You can't bring it, and it doesn't work, and he still has to bring Pesach Sheni. So the Gemara quotes a brisa. The Gemara is going to say that the brisa seems to go like Rav Nachman. The brisa says as follows: the following people should bring Pesach Sheni: people who are a zav or zava, it's male or female, tumas zav; taras, male or female, mitzeroim; nida, or a male or female nida. Now, how is a man a nida? If a man is together with a nida physically, then he becomes tumas nida on him. Yoldos, women who gave birth; people who are shogigin, they forgot, they weren't able to bring the carbon because of a accidental situation; or anusim, people who are prevented through no fault of their own, they couldn't do anything about it. Mizidim, people who purposefully said, I'm not bringing it, they could still bring Pesach Sheni. A Tameh, somebody who was Tameh at the time, any other type of Tameh out there, and somebody who was too far. All these people are on the list. So then the brisa continues, and it says, since they're all on the list, why does the Torah only talk about a Tameh on the list? The reason is to tell you that the Tameh doesn't get kares. However, somebody who's a Mezid, he will get kares. So Gemara says, what do you mean? You're asking me why does it say the Tameh on the list? Why does the Torah talk about Tameh? What kind of question is that? The reason why the Torah tells me Tameh is to tell me that he's not allowed to bring Pesach Rishon. The Tameh is not allowed to bring Pesach Rishon. So Gemara says, no. What the Brisa meant to ask was, why is the derech rechoko on the list? The Torah could have told me Tameh can't bring it, I understand, but a derech rechoko, if he's too far to bring, you don't have to tell me he can't bring, he's too far. And the Gemara doesn't answer because to tell you that he's not allowed to bring it. If the Torah would say that, that would make sense according to Rav Sheshes. That should be the answer according to Rav Sheshes, that to tell you that he's too far, you can't bring it. But it's not what the Brisa says. The Brisa says that the reason is to tell you that he doesn't get kares is not his fault, that he's too far. Good, so that means that obviously if he manages to bring it, it would be good. So that's like Rav Nachman, that if you're too far and you don't have to bring Pesach Rishon, if you do manage to get involved, then that's okay, it counts for it. Now the Gemara asks, I don't understand, this brisa lists women, but women don't have Pesach Sheni. How come this brisa lists women as being involved in Pesach Sheni at all? And the Gemara brings a parallel brisa that leaves women out. And the Gemara says that it's a contradiction. That brisa says, you would think that women have to bring a Pesach Sheni, but it says ish, only a man. Or it uses the word ish when it's describing a Pesach Sheni. So why does this brisa say that women do have to bring? So when it says, well, we've seen earlier, it's a machlekes tanaim, it's Rav Yosi against Rav Yehuda and Rav Shimon. Rav Yosi says that they are chayiv, and Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Shimon say that they can if they would like to, or that they don't have to at all, but they're not obligated. Okay, Gemara now introduces a new three-way machlekes tanaim. The machlekes is about what is the relationship between the carbon Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni as far as kares. So three opinions are as follows. Rebbe holds there's two totally separate mitzvahs. You could get kares for either one. Obviously, one person can't get kares twice, but if somebody is, let's say, a shoygeg on Pesach Rishon and Mezid and not bringing Pesach Sheni, he gets kares for that. Or if somebody is a mazed for not bringing Pesach Rishon and a shagig on Pesach Sheni, he gets kares for Pesach Rishon. Or if somebody's, let's say, only chayiv in one and not the other, for whatever the reason might be, each one is an independent mitzvah, you could get a kares for either one. That's Rebbe's opinion. Rabbi Nassan says, no. The Pesach Sheni is only meant to fill in for the Pesach Rishon. You can't get kares for Pesach Sheni. It's meant to be there to allow you to do a Pesach Rishon that you missed. Now, if you missed it b'mezid, it doesn't take your kares off. There's kares on Pesach Rishon, independent of Pesach Sheni, has nothing to do with the kares. Pesach Sheni has no relationship with kares at all. You can't get kares for it, and it doesn't take kares off the Pesach Rishon. Now, the most lenient opinion is Rabbi Chananya ben Akavia, who says no, that the kares on Pesach Rishon depends on missing Pesach Sheni too. A person only gets kares for Pesach Rishon, can't get kares for Pesach Sheni, and even Pesach Rishon you won't get unless you messed up Pesach Sheni also. So let's say somebody's been mazed in Pesach Rishon, and he doesn't bring Pesach Rishon, and then he doesn't bring Pesach Sheni either, but he does that b'shogeg. That takes off his kares, because you have to be mazed in both of them in order to get any kares at all. You have two shots at bringing the Pesach Rishon, Pesach Sheni before you'll be chayav kares. Now, the Gemara says, I'm going to show you a brisa that spells out a case where these three opinions come up with a different psak, and that's the following case. What happens if somebody is a ger and he converts between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni, or a katan, a child who grows up and becomes an adult between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni? So according to Rabbi, he's chayav to bring Pesach Sheni. It's an independent mitzvah. Like we said, there are two independent mitzvahs. You could get kares for either one. According to Rabbi Nassan, no. According to Rabbi Nassan and Rabbi Chananya, the second Pesach is only to fill in for the first Pesach, and there is no first Pesach here because he was a goy or a katan by the first Pesach opportunity. Therefore, there is no obligation to bring a Pesach Sheni here. The difference between them is only whether the second Pesach fixes the missed carbon or it fixes the chiv kares. According to Rabbi Nassan, it fixes the kares also. According to Rabbi Nassan, it gives you a second opportunity to bring it, but it does not fix the kares. According to Chananya ben Akavia, it fixes the kares also. You don't get kares if you manage to bring the Pesach Sheni. Okay, now the Gemara says all three of them actually derive the halachas from the same pasuk. They just have different ways of translating. Actually, it comes down to the translation of the word ki, almost. There's not a factor as well, but translation of the word ki. The pasuk says as follows, describing Pesach Sheni. It says, V'isha shehu tar v'derech lehoya. Somebody who was tar and he wasn't too far. He does not have an excuse for not bringing Pesach Rishon. However, he doesn't bring the Pesach Rishon. So that person gets kares. So here the Torah describes kares for Pesach Rishon. What does it say afterwards? It says ki. That would be a key. This key is a key word as to what this following phrase is teaching us. It says, Ki karban Hashem lehikriv. Ki, the carbon of Hashem he didn't bring with Mayadai cheta yisa yeshahu. He has a cheta yisa. He has to bear his sin. So Rabbi says this is talking about Pesach Sheni, and ki means if. And now we're not continuing what we discussed before. We've said before this kares and Pesach Rishon. Now we're saying, and if he doesn't bring Karban Hashem Lehigr, if he doesn't bring Pesach Sheni, so Cheta Yisa, then he gets his sin. What does it gets his sin means? It's kares again. The Gemara says, how do you know the Cheta Yisa is kares? The Gemara says, simple. We have a pasuk talking about somebody who curses Hashem, and over there it says Cheta Yisa. It says V'nasa Cheta. And we have a Gzeir Shava that compares the Cheta Yisa to V'nasa Cheta. It links the two. Now, this person who cursed Hashem, what is that? That is the same as the Megadev, which is discussed elsewhere, and says explicitly that he gets kares. It's the same thing. The Megadev and Mekalal is the same. So why does it say it here again? This is to teach me the link between the two, that just like the one who curses Hashem and the Megadev gets kares, so too when it says here, Cheta Yisa, it's also kares. So somebody doesn't bring Pesach Sheni, as we said, that's what the second half of the pasuk is referring to, gets kares for that as well. That's how Rabbi learns that pasuk. Rabbi Nassan says that's not what the word ki means here. The word ki does not mean if, the word ki means since, and it's one long pasuk, and it's all talking about Pesach Rishon. We're not discussing Pesach Sheni here at all. And it says that if somebody doesn't have an excuse for not bringing the carbon Pesach Rishon, and then he'll get kares, since he didn't bring the carbon that Hashem said he should bring. That's what it's for. Now, the Gemara asks, what is he going to do with the hekesh? What is he going to do with the Gzeir Shava? Why do we need a Gzeir Shava of Nasa Cheta to Cheta Yisa, to the Makalas Hashem, to the Mavarachas Hashem, to the one who curses Hashem. So the Gemara says because Rabbi Nassan learns that this Mekalel is not the Megadef. The Megadef is somebody who sings songs to Avodah Zarah. He gets kares for that. This is just somebody who's Mekalel Hashem. We don't know that he gets kares. We learn it actually from here. This pasuk, which tells me that somebody who doesn't bring a Pesach Rishon gets kares for that, is linked through V'nasa Chetoi to the Mekalel to teach me that the Mekalel gets kares. Okay, now how does Rabbi Chanina ben Akavia learn this? So the Gemara says he also understands that the word ki means if, but he reads the pasuk differently. He says that it's a explanation of why you get kares for the first one because you didn't bring the second one. And he reads it as follows: doesn't have an excuse. And he doesn't bring a carbon pesach. He gets kares. Why? That's what he gets. Ki. If Karban Hashem lehekriv b'mayadai, if he doesn't bring the Karban Pesach Sheni, then he'll get kares for the Pesach Rishon. Meaning that in order to get kares one time, you have to miss both Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni fills in and is an opportunity to fix the kares, and that's how he understands it. Okay, that is the sources. The Gemara just throws in what does he do with Heket with Gzeir Shava v'nasa Cheta. He learns it the same way that Rabbi Nassan learned it, is to teach you that there's kares. From here, we learn kares to the Mekala. Okay, now the Gemara sums up the opinions of these three Tanaim. The Gemara says as follows: somebody who was a mazid, he purposely ignored the mitzvah of bringing carbon Pesach, both the first carbon and the second carbon, according to all opinions, he gets kares one time. Somebody who's shaygig in all of them, so he has no chiyuv kares at all. He doesn't have to. He has no issues at all. Somebody who is mazid about the first carbon and shaygig about the second one. So, according to everybody except for Rabbi Chananya, he is chayiv. Why? Because he missed carbon Pesach Rishon, and he, if you miss Pesach Rishon b'mazid, according to those two, there's kares for that. According to Rabbi Nassan, he has a chance to fix it in Pesach Sheni, and if he didn't mazid in Pesach Sheni, then it comes off. Now, what if somebody is shaygig in the first one and mazid in the second one? Then only Rabbi holds he gets kares, because Rabbi is the only one who says that's an independent mitzvah you could get kares for. Rabbi Nassan and Chananya ben Akavia hold you can't get kares for missing Pesach Sheni, only without missing Pesach Rishon. But now we begin the next Mishnah, which discusses the definition of bederach rachoko. When the Torah says that somebody's too far, he doesn't have to bring the carbon Pesach Rishon, what is defined as too far? So the Mishnah says it's as far as Modi'in is from Yerushalayim. Modi'in, if he's in Modi'in, that's called too far, and that same distance, any other direction. Says, that is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, it just means that he's outside the Hazara, even if he's in Yerushalayim itself. If he can't get into the Hazara for whatever reason, that's called too far. He's too far. Now, Rabbi Yaisi supports Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. He says if you look at the Torah, when it discusses derech rechoka, there's a nikud, a dot over the letter hey. And that's to limit it, to minimize it. That when we say too far, we don't mean very far at all, even if you're right outside the door. But that's too far. Okay, now the Gemara introduces Machlokes Amoraim here. Machlokes Amoraim is between Ula and Rabbi Yehuda. They're arguing when we say that he's too far, that means that he's too far. We're assuming with Rabbi Akiva's opinion that he has to be actually far. How do you define it too far? Not in terms of miles, but in terms of when can he get back. So Ula says if he's can't get back during the time of Shechita, meaning if at the beginning of the time of Shechita he's too far to get back during the time of Shechita, that's called too far. What's the time of Shechita? Ula holds the time of Shechita begins, the time of Shechita of the Karban Pesach begins at Chatzos. Rishonim discuss how this fits with our Mishnah in the beginning of the Masechta, but it begins at Chatzos, and it ends at Shkia. So if at the beginning of Chatzos, if at the moment of Chatzos, the earliest time of Shechita's Karban Pesach, he's too far to get back, then he's pater. He doesn't have to bring a Karban Pesach, doesn't have to try to get back, he's too far. Now Rabbi Yehuda says, no. He doesn't have to be back on time to bring the Karban Pesach. He has to be back on time to eat the Karban Pesach. Nobody said he has to bring it himself. So therefore, the Ptor is only if he can't get back by morning. If he can get back before morning, he has to get back and be involved, and he has to eat from the Karban. There's no Psol b'derech rechoka. Now the Gemara discusses Ula's opinion here more at length. First of all, Ula says that when Rabbi Kiva said as far as Modi'in, so that is obviously 15 mil away. Why 15 mil away? Because from Chatzos to Shkia is half a day, and in half a day a person could walk 15 mil. Where do you see that? So it says we see that because the statement of Rabbi Bar Bachan and Rabbi Yechanan says that a person could walk 10 parsois a day. A pars is 4 mil, so that means he could walk 40 mil a day. And we have another source that says that that from dawn to sunrise, and from Shkia to Tzesek Echavim to when the light has fully disappeared, each of those periods is 5 mil. What's the source that each of those periods is 5 mil? So the Gemara says when light left Sidaim, it says Kamaya Shachar Olav Vayitzu HaMalachim, that the sun was just beginning to rise, and the Malachim said, get out of here. And when did he actually arrive? In entire was Hashem Mashiach Al Aretz, when the sun was already above the horizon. So you see, it was exactly the time from dawn until sunrise. That's how long it took him to get from Sidaim to Tzayar. And it says that Rabbi Chanina says, I was there, I checked it out, it's exactly 5 mil. So the distance it takes a person to walk during Beinish Mashos, both in the morning and in the evening, is 5 mil. So, if the total he could walk in a day from dawn till Tzesek Echavim is 40 mil, 5 mil during the morning, Beinish Mashos 5 mil during the evening, and Beinish Mashos, that leaves 30 mil left for the rest of the day, from sunrise till sunset. Cut that in half at Chatzos, 15 mil from sunrise to Chatzos, 15 mil from Chatzos to sunset. So there you see that from Chatzos to sunset is 15 mils the furthest you could get. Therefore, Modi'in must be 15 mil away. That is why Modi'in is too far. This is Ula's opinion that says that he has to be back on time to make it before the time of Shechita is over. Now the Gemara says that Rabbah said, I have a kasha. He said to Ula, I have a kasha both on you and on Rabbi Yehuda. You say that it's defined as being too far when he can't get back by Shkia. He has to be able to be back on time to be involved in the Shechita. I have a kasha on you because we have a Brisa that discusses somebody who has Tumas Sheretz, so he's going to be Tameh the entire day until sunset, and then when it comes time to eat, he'll be able to eat, he'll be Tahar then. He went to the mikveh, and his Tumah comes off when the sun comes down. So there's a machlokes. One opinion says he could eat, he is involved in the Karban Pesach, one opinion says he cannot eat. So according to you, that he has to be back by the time of Shechita, why is it enough, according to one opinion, that the guy whose tumah comes off could eat, and he's ready, he's fitting to eat in the nighttime? According to you, he has to be back in time for Shechita. And according to Yehuda Vakasha, the other man, the Amar, who says that it's no good, even though he's ready to eat, his tumah comes off by the time of eating. According to Rav Yehuda, that should be enough. A person is not called b'derech rechok if he's back on time for eating. So how come the other opinion says that this guy who has tumas sheretz and is ready, his tumah comes off by the time it's time to eat? How come it's not enough? Doesn't fit with him. So Ula said back, neither of these is a kasha, not on me and not on him. As far as I'm concerned, the opinion that said that he cannot eat, even though the opinion that said that he could be involved in the Karban Pesach because his tumah comes off, that's talking about tumah. Tumah is a psul in eating. The Torah said that you can't eat if you're tameh. You can send a shliach to bring it. The problem with tumah is that you can't eat the carbon. So this guy, if he's tahar by the time of eating, he's fine. However, by derech rechoka, that's not a din in eating. The Torah said if you're too far to be part of the avoda, that's a din in avoda, and therefore he has to be able to be back on time for the avoda, time for the shechita, and if he's only back on time for eating, that's not enough to be involved. With Yehuda, the Gemara says it's not a kasha either, because really somebody who's back on time to eat is good enough. However, somebody who has Tumas Sheretz, this opinion holds, he's not allowed. The Torah has a special gzeira when it pushed somebody off. It said, Ish ki yatami lenefesh, as we saw this drasha earlier, somebody who has Tumas Nefesh on him, even if it's the seventh day of his Tumah and his Tumah is coming off tonight, he still cannot be involved. The special gzeira is a kasav, somebody who's Tameh, even if it's the last day of his Tumah or the only day of his Tumah, cannot be involved, even though he'll be ready by the time of eating. Still, that's a special halacha of Karban Pesach.
Drive the Daf is a project of the Grand Woodlands Shul and is presented by Rabbi Yitzchak Landa. Find us on YouTube or subscribe to daily emails by emailing drivethedaf@gmail.com.